Okay, so wherever you're at today, I want you to stop and think about this one question. Have you ever thought about it? Like, what does it actually take to be a top 1% salesperson in your industry? Okay, the salesperson who makes all of the money, they get any promotion they want. In fact, they turn down promotions they don't want. They have all the respect in the company from management, from ownership. The salesperson who leads by example because they outsell everyone else. They don't just talk about it, they do it. Well, my next guest is going to help us answer that question for you in a little different way. And let me give you a small taste of this gentleman's background. Where was this guy a decade ago? Well, a decade ago, this dude was a teenager starting his first YouTube channel. I kid you not. 10 years later, he's now a leading authority on using YouTube to create sales and to run AdOutreach, the leading firm in this space. He not only teaches a strategy, he does it himself. Lo and behold, that's a good thing to know. He generates over 400,000 subscribers and $2 million a year with YouTube alone. He is a member of the ClickFunnels coveted 2 Comma Club. Hey, we're brothers. I've won that like 3 times. His YouTube ads program helps small business owners, sales professionals, coaches, consultants, and course creators generate leads and sales through YouTube ads. He's helped his clients generate over 8 figures in sales alone just from YouTube. Today, he's going to pull back the curtain and he's going to show you how he's cracked the code to YouTube sales and how you can do it for what you sell as well. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Aleric Heck. That rhymes. I don't even know how that's possible.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Jeremy, for having me on. I'm excited to dive into it and talk about how, YouTube ads go hand in hand with sales, the marketing and sales combining together. I'm excited to dive into it.
Yeah, I love it. And I love talking with people, salespeople or, sales trainers or even marketing experts like yourself that understand how human behavior works, not only in sales, but also in marketing your product and service. Okay, how that has an impact on modern day selling through that technology, social platforms, search engines. So thanks for being on here. Now I want to do this. Let's dive into your story just real quick. And I want to give our listeners maybe a feel for your background and how you arrived at this point from being a teenager 10 years ago to now being one of the elite authorities on generating sales through YouTube. Like maybe tell us a little bit more about your background and how you learned all these skills.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate it. Absolutely. So, back in 2009, YouTube was a totally different platform. You probably, remember it was, all standard definition videos. There was a star rating system. It wasn't like dislike. It was, star rating system. And, back then I had, like a lot of people, right, the iPhone and iPod touches were brand new around that time. And I just started creating videos reviewing mobile apps and teaching people how to use their iPhone or, basically smartphones was obviously new at the time.
Yeah.
And it stared to take off. It got lots of, subscribers and viewers. And soon, I was getting millions of views, hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Yeah. And I was getting all these different sponsorships. So I had different applications that were, reaching out. It was, very inbound. They were just emailing me to have me feature their apps or their products on the YouTube channel. And so it started really growing and taking off. And, by the time I got to, about 6 years ago, by the time I got to college, what I started to do was, systematize. So I hired a video editor. I hired, a business development person, kind of the first foray into sales, right? Of course. And I was systematizing these different sides of the YouTube channel. That gave me more time to think and to plan and brainstorm. And so, about 6 years ago, we had one app. It was a social media networking app.
Okay.
They hired us for promotion, which at the time was, we created a video on YouTube. We uploaded the video to the channel. We had hundreds of thousands of subscribers. So, thousands and tens of thousands of people would download the app. Sure. And they were like, this is great. Can you, post the video again? Can you get more download? Like, can you just re-upload it? And I was trying to tell them it doesn't really work like that. Like you have all these subscribers. If they watch the video once, they've heard about it. And so, I don't want to just, take your money to just re-upload it, the video again.
Sure.
But I said, what if we run a YouTube ad? I've been experimenting at that point to with some of those to grow my channel.
Yeah.
but I'd never run it for an app or for somebody else before. And this was, 6 years ago. Like most people that were running YouTube ads, they were, Geico and Ford and kind of these big companies.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I took, $500 and in 1 week we ran the ad and got over 11,000 users.
Wow. Okay. That's a pretty good return on investment.
Exactly. And they were blown away. And so they actually tried to like hire me and, I wanted me to fly out to Silicon Valley and, kind of work with and do like mobile acquisition, like YouTube ads. And I actually turned it down because I wanted to a lot of people, right? I wanted to build my own business around this. And so that's when I realized, so I did YouTube ads for mobile apps for a couple of years.
Sure.
Then I, kind of joined my first, high ticket program and got my first mentors and coaches. And once I did that, and that was about 4 years ago now, then things really started to take off. I went to, YouTube ads for more, online information products, coaches, consultants, course creators, kind of high ticket, a lot of the world that, salespeople live in. And, the rest is kind of history from there, to scaling it up, building an incredible team. And now,
I see all your ads now. I think you're even retargeting me and retargeting from YouTube to Facebook to all over Instagram, probably. So you sound really convincing when I watch you on some of your ads about YouTube and the power of YouTube, how it can really like massively build business owners and even sales professionals, coaches, whoever it is, course creators. Why are you so sold on that platform over like other platforms possibly?
That's a great question. And the biggest thing that YouTube ads have that the other platforms don't is it combines video with intent. So people are actually looking up right now, the same way, on Google search and as on YouTube, you have intent. People are looking something up. YouTube is the second biggest, search platform, second to Google itself. And so, when people are looking up, how to get more clients or how to grow my business, marketing, they're even looking up other things like, cars to purchase or, like where to find a home or a mortgage or whatever it happens to be. Whatever they're looking up, they're looking it up on Google and YouTube. And so what you can do on YouTube is you can reach people when they're in that kind of learner's mindset and they have intent.
Why is it more advantageous on YouTube over like even Facebook? We do a lot of ads on Facebook. I probably spend $100,000 a month on Facebook. Why is it more advantageous on YouTube over even Facebook?
That's a great question, because on Facebook, it's all interruption-based marketing. So people are scrolling by. And so they're, not necessarily looking, in this case, for sales training. So, you have to really interrupt them, get their attention, and then keep them. So if you have a webinar or you have a training or you have something, it's a lot more to keep somebody that wasn't planning on watching content versus on YouTube, you're actually on a video-based platform. So somebody's watching, they're learning. If they're watching sales training videos, if they're watching, another YouTube channel that's talking about sales and you get in front of it and talking about how your methodology is better, how you can talk, teach them these different strategies and to sign up for your webinar, they're more likely to watch it right now. And so we actually, we actually ran the numbers between us and our clients. The average show rate on an actual webinar, this is not a VSL, it's a webinar, is between 50 and 60%. Which you don't get those numbers on Facebook anymore, unless you're absolute top pinnacle. But most people are in that, 20, 25, 30% show rate. And that's why a lot of people pivoted, from webinars to VSLs on Facebook. They say it's because attention spans are dropping, but really it's more so the platform, because if you could get somebody to watch, an hour-long webinar or a 20-minute VSL, which would you rather have? Obviously the webinar every day. And so it's more, instead of interrupting them on Facebook, like YouTube, especially like Google search engine, they're searching for what you're offering basically. So it's just more of a committed type of lead is basically what you're saying. Exactly. They're specifically searching for and watching content around what you have to do. And then, what is a webinar or a VSL other than a longer form video? And so if they're in the video consumption mode right now, for people that are in, especially in some kind of education, kind of high ticket, like course or coaching space, it is perfect because people are going to YouTube to learn. And then you can give them more of that value, more of that content right away once they opt in.
That makes a lot of sense. Now let's talk about this. So, our listeners are listening to the show right now. They're salespeople, they're coaches, course creators, they're business owners, entrepreneurs. Okay. What specific steps can they take today that will help them get on track to add more business, build up, even if they're a salesperson working for a company, get them more qualified leads on YouTube? Like, what can they do to start that out? Seems like a daunting task.
And that's what I hear a lot of people say is, Facebook, a lot of people look at Facebook and they say, okay, this is easier to set up. But because of that, and because of the way Facebook works and interruption, it's all algorithm based. There's also a lot more competition. It's a red ocean as opposed to, YouTube's blue ocean, which I talk about a lot. On Facebook, there's less of that kind of rich media and education. So you have all these different ads. You don't necessarily remember everybody. Versus on YouTube, the other thing is you only pay if somebody watches more than, I forgot to mention this earlier, more than 30 seconds of your ad. So if you have an ad, they can skip between 5 and 29 seconds. Okay. And you actually don't pay for it. You only pay if they watch that 30 seconds.
Really? So, okay. I didn't even know that.
Exactly. And that's one of the other reasons that it works so well, is because you can pull the right people in, but you can also repel the wrong people away. And so it's all about the ad that you create. And so if you have that ability to only pay for the people that are interested, that are actually sticking around, that are actually watching, then you have the ability to really indoctrinate those people that do stick around with an ad. And so the thing that you can do now is know that creating an ad should feel natural. It doesn't need to be all these bells and whistles.
What does that mean though? Like when you say it should feel natural, tell us what that means.
Yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of people think that you need to hire big production studios, videographers, have all this fancy equipment, when really, you have a lot of the tools that you need right now. If you have an iPhone or a smartphone and you have this simple tool, it's about $100 on Amazon, a gimbal. I'm sure, obviously, Jeremy, but some of the listeners or watchers, you might not be familiar. If you look it up, it's a gimbal and it stabilizes your phone. Okay. And then you just get a little microphone that plugs into either the microphone jack or the lightning connector on your phone. And then what you can do is you now have a stabilized shot, with your phone, with better sound, or you use AirPods, either way works. Okay. And then you can record a video without needing all the bells and whistles, and it'll actually convert better because it feels natural. And so we're actually going to get into, I'm happy to talk about the hook, educate, call to action. That's kind of our three-step framework for a video ad that converts. But in terms of filming the video itself, natural works better. Think about this, right? If you look at all the television ads, we're accustomed to tuning those out, right? We go into the other room, we get some snacks, and when
the professional looking ones, basically.
Exactly. What you want on YouTube is you want an ad that feels authentic and natural. And the best way to do that is to just, have that natural video production.
So because I've seen some of your ads, and the ads I've seen, basically like you've got your phone up here and you're like talking into it like this. So you're saying just be authentic, and it's not staged where they feel like, wow, this Alec guy's a real person. He's like a real dude that lives down the street or something.
Exactly. And then I'm actually providing value, getting them excited. Then on the webinar, providing more value. It's kind of that value ladder I'm sure you talk about as well, and it goes hand in hand with sales, because if from the very beginning, you're feeling authentic and natural, and, but you also are an expert too, right? And so you're actually presenting that, that's what's going to allow people to connect with you. And if they don't, by the way, because, you only pay if they watch 30 seconds, then they're going to skip the ad. You're not going to pay for it.
Yeah, then it's really no big deal. So give us maybe some, so that's kind of how to start. I love that. That's I think that worries a lot of salespeople, because like, I don't have a production crew. I don't have $100,000 to invest in all this video equipment, all this stuff. But you don't have to have that. You just have to have really your cell phone and one of those devices that stabilize the phone, right? And like a little mic. You can even get like those, when I do my ads, I use my Pro AirPods, right? And they work just really well. I mean, they work good as the sound that I have on the professional cameras, which is kind of insane. You can just walk around. Like I even have a device that if I don't have time to like really memorize, kind of get the gist of what I'm going to say, I've got like a little teleprompter thing that I have like one of those gimbal things here. I can hold it up here like a selfie and like look into the screen, and it has a teleprompter on where I'm kind of going over what I want, but it looks completely natural. Like I'm just off the cuff. It's a pretty cool device that they have now. The technology is out there. And I think that cost me maybe 60, 70 bucks, not that big of a deal, right? If you don't have time to like really memorize everything you want to say. What are some pitfalls though, that you can really warn our listeners about YouTube? Like, what are some things that maybe you found out early on, like, oh crap, I shouldn't have done that cost you money that they can avoid?
Mm-hmm. So I've got two big things. I'll talk about the video itself, and then I'll talk about the targeting. In terms of the video, it's producing too short of an ad and not providing value.
Okay.
What YouTube is all about as a platform is also, because people are looking to learn and they're looking, they have that intent. You want to provide some type of value on the ad itself. I call them golden nuggets, right? Actually providing some type of value that they're going to have that then when they go off, they're much more likely to actually show up to a webinar or to a VSL or whatever that next step is. And so the three-part framework is a hook. So you pull the right people in, you push the wrong people away.
Okay.
Educate, and this is what a lot of people leave out, where you're actually providing value and you're giving maybe 2 or 3 of your big keys.
Give me an example of a hook though. Like what would be a hook for what you offer?
Yeah, so I've got a great example. I have 2 different hooks. So the first one that I have is more of the intrigue and excitement, and then I'll do kind of more of like an us versus them kind of divisive. Okay. So the first one, intrigue and excitement, is what if you could ethically hijack your competitor's traffic and send it directly into your own funnel?
Okay, so that automatically creates curiosity by that question and forces them to want to engage and listen to the rest of your ad.
Exactly. And then I show them a little bit of a teaser of how that works on YouTube. Some of the key parts, I talk about how you only pay if they watch 30 seconds, how you can target in front of different videos and have that intent. And then I have a call to action to get them to sign up. And then the other one would be, is literally just, it's YouTube ads beat Facebook ads every time. I'm serious. The Facebook ad costs are going up and through the roof. Well, YouTube ads are a blue ocean. In this video, I'm going to talk about exactly how you can use YouTube ads and then, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. So anybody even looking at Facebook ads, or maybe have done Facebook ads, they can relate to that. Like, oh, my costs are going up. What he's saying is right. So it causes them to want to engage because they're curious now about what you just said, because you've identified a problem that they know about.
Exactly. And so those are 2 great examples. And then what I recommend always is to film multiple hooks. And so there's a way that you can actually come out with 5 different ads, but it only feels like you film 1.5 ads. You film, 5 back-to-back hooks. You kind of segment into these 3 categories. So you film now 5 hooks. So you film the first hook. It might be intrigue based. You might have one that's kind of like, the more kind of divisive, like us, like YouTube ads beat Facebook, kind of this bold statement. And then you have a couple other versions as well. And you film these, and then you film the educate separately, and you just film that once or twice. And then the call to action, and that's getting them, to actually click the link, what the next step is.
Click the link, go to a webinar. It could be 3 or 4 different call to actions. That makes sense.
And then
give us an example here. So I wanted to ask you this. I know you've helped a lot of clients scale to like 8 figures, like it's business owners, right? Maybe give us an example of one of those clients and kind of the YouTube strategy that you developed for them, and like really what changed for their business.
Absolutely. That's a great question. So, there's a variety of different examples. One that I'll use is just an incredible client that I've had, Ahmad. And, he was basically on Facebook ads, and he was essentially, originally, and he was getting shut down. I think that was actually the catalyst that had him first, go over to YouTube. But, he was doing all these Facebook ads, kind of stuck at that $40,000 to $60,000 per month mark, right? So he had the offer, he had a funnel, he obviously is great at what he does. He's an incredible person. But he was having problems kind of breaking out of that and hitting that, $100,000 a month, which at the time he kind of called that elusive, $100,000 a month. And so he got shut down for that, final time. He was like, and he always would get it back within a week or 2, but it would really, harm the sales cycle for those months. And it's not just that, also the lead costs were going up, all these factors. And so, we helped him implement YouTube ads. And originally it was just to have another platform, kind of another pillar, right? So he's diversified. Okay. So if he gets shut down, he can rely on this, turn this up. Little did he know.
You get him over to YouTube, and what happens?
Yes, little did he know that YouTube would be the platform that's the game changer for him. And so what he started to see was not only was he getting lower cost per application, which is, somebody filling out the form. Obviously, everybody here knows that the lower cost per applications on YouTube than Facebook, but they were also higher quality because they had intent. People were actually looking for his services. And so basically what they were doing is he was getting these higher quality people for a lower cost. And next thing you know, his entire calendar was filled out. He was doing all the sales calls himself, which I'm sure, people can, and so he literally, because of YouTube ads, had to build out his sales team and hire 2 to 3, people to join his team to handle all the traffic. I remember he joked, he's like, but before he hired the rest of the team, he's like, I have no free time anymore. Like my calendar is full. And obviously that's the dream, for businesses and for salespeople, and, getting the ability to then, now he's got salespeople on his team. Sure enough, instead of just having YouTube be a small portion, like originally he was thinking 80-20, Facebook, YouTube, suddenly it's going the other direction. Now, it wasn't a coincidence that his first $100,000 month was the month that he went 80% YouTube, 20% Facebook was his first $100,000 month. And then he's been hitting that ever since, continuing to scale up. And it's just been fantastic.
I love that. Yeah. Let's talk about, you talk a lot about in some of your trainings, you talk about OmniPresent Retargeting. Tell us what that means. I think I understand what that means, but some of our listeners might not understand what that means. What does that actually mean?
Yeah, I love that. So OmniPresent Retargeting is where you can actually retarget people who have come in to your ecosystem, right? Leads on every platform. You don't want to just be on one platform, whether that's Facebook or even YouTube, right? You don't want to just be on one platform. You want to be everywhere. So you want people to constantly see you. You need all of these touch points, especially, in the digital age that we're in, right? You it's not just 7 touch points anymore. It might be even like, who knows, right? It might be double that, triple that, maybe even 10 times that you really need to continually get in front of people. And so you want to retarget on YouTube. You want to retarget on Facebook, LinkedIn. We're doing display ads. Obviously, you want the exact match search ad, so people are looking you up on Google. You want to be everywhere. And what that's going to do when you keep popping up again and again is it's actually going to help your ease of sale. And so obviously, this is where it goes hand in hand with, some of the stuff that you talk about, Jeremy, which is, if you can indoctrinate people before a sales call more than if you just have them go through the regular funnel. Now, they haven't just seen, the original ad, maybe, a piece or two of content, a few emails. They've now seen you every single day, not just on Facebook, but also on YouTube, on LinkedIn, popping up on Twitter, on Google, on inside their mobile apps.
You become more of a trusted authority or an expert in their mind because they see you everywhere, right? You're omnipresent is what you're saying. That's exactly what we do. We go from Facebook ad right into our Facebook group. And in our Facebook group, I come in there live 4 or 5 times a week. I do trainings for them. They even start getting results before we even introduce them to our training courses. So by the time they get on a call with someone in our company, and I've got great people, but the time they get on the call, they're already in. They're already like, I'm just ready. Like they're raising their hand, like, please, for the love of Mary, like enroll me in this training because even with this little stuff that he's teaching me, like little hors d'oeuvres, I'm already getting more results and more sales. So it's 100%. It's just about, I don't even like the word indoctrinating them, but you're giving them pieces of your training that's going to help them. And when they see like, wow, if he's giving me 1%, where would it be if I had 100% of what Alec offers? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And providing more content and value and trainings, that is the name of the game. Yeah. And, the more pieces of content you produce, so like you mentioned the OmniPresent, retargeting, we came out with a whole new webinar, the OmniPresent Retargeting Machine, where I actually break down all of the strategies. And I just, give that out as a new webinar that we're running as a retargeting ad to anybody who's opted in for our YouTube training.
So you're retargeting those people that went through that training. I love it.
Exactly. With even more. And so it's providing all of these value, and the more touch points you have, the more content you can provide, the better, you become in people's minds. So by the time they actually get on an enrollment call, they're asking you, they're excited to work.
They're pretty much ready to go. It's just the logistics and those type of things. How can you've given us some advice so far. How can a sales professional get off this podcast today and really start taking advantage of that technology to maximize sales? Like, what would be their next step to do after this podcast today?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the next step that I would say is at the very least, set up your retargeting on a variety of different platforms, and especially YouTube. If maybe you are running Facebook ads already, at the very least, start running retargeting on YouTube. Because remember, we talked about you only pay if somebody watches more than 30 seconds of the ad. The same rules apply for your retargeting on YouTube. So it's just the best. I mean, honestly, YouTube is just one of the best platform, but also the best for like retargeting too, because you're only paying if they watch more than 30 seconds. So if they skip it, they've still seen your face, but you're not paying for it. It's free branding. No other platform really does that. And so what you can do is start retargeting on these different platforms. Create a simple ad. Remind them, what your offer is to talk with them on a call, or remind them of some of the content and value you can provide. Start retargeting that on different platforms. And then, YouTube ads in general, I highly recommend getting into the cold traffic side. If you're running Facebook ads, you really need to start leveraging YouTube. And so hook, right? So pull the right people in, push the wrong people.
The hook, you got to get the right question to hook them in, because causes their brain to be curious, to want to engage and keep listening, right?
Exactly. And then educate, actually provide value, right? And give them also provide value, but give them a teaser for future value you're going to provide on the training in a Facebook group, whatever that next step is. And then have a call to action to get them to take that next step. And then from there, you can take that advertisement that you create, that YouTube ad, and you can run that in front of people who are watching, videos or keywords. They're looking up, how to grow my business. They're looking up, how to lose weight, how to get more sales, whatever it happens to be, right, that your industry is. You find those keywords, you find the videos that they're watching, or you can even create audiences like you can on, people don't know this, but you can create audiences or custom affinity audiences on YouTube the same way you can on Facebook, based on what Google knows about somebody. So you can actually put in, interests and who they like and, websites they've been on in the past, and create these affinities as well. So you also have that ability if there's not as much direct searching as well.
That makes a lot of sense. Now you swear that YouTuber ads are the future. However, I know social media changes all the time. It's like every 3 months, it just changes. In your mind, will YouTube still be a dominant force in the next 10 years?
Absolutely. Absolutely. YouTube and where it evolves will be a dominant force. But what I will say is that we always want to be on the cutting edge. What I'm the most bullish on is video ads that convert. Video advertising, direct response video advertising. And so, whatever that platform is, and, we still do experiments, and we have like our OmniPresent ads on Facebook, with video. We have ads on LinkedIn. So we're constantly testing the different platforms. But what's not going away is video advertising. It makes sense to maximize the platforms right now. But I also know, because of what YouTube's become, it's going to continue to grow, and it's going to continue to be a huge major player. And even in the future, if it has the same degree of competition, it has all of these things like intent. You only pay if they watch 30 seconds. It has these different features that actually keep it competitive, even if the competition is the same, that I believe still makes it even more powerful, even if the competition was the same. But it's not the same. It's a blue ocean right now. So it's even that much better. It's a great opportunity to get started.
You're saying, hey, it's time to get in now.
Exactly.
Compared to waiting 3 or 4 more years. Like, the time is now, right?
Exactly. The time is now. Exactly.
I can't thank you enough for being on the show today. I think this is really valuable for our listeners. A lot of time we just talk to sales trainers and professional salespeople that are crushing it in sales, which is awesome. But sometimes we need that marketing spin in there to help even a salesperson, especially a business owner, but a salesperson learn how to market themselves as an expert for what they sell as well. Do you have any final thoughts or advice for our listeners?
Absolutely. And thank you so much again, Jeremy, for having me on. This was a lot of fun. And so, the final advice that I would give is really just to remember, what the goal of marketing and sales is to make that connection. It's to be able to show somebody, that future that you can paint for them with your product or service, whatever it is you're selling. And the best way to do that is on video. It's not with a static image advertisement. Obviously, people are doing videos on Facebook, but with YouTube, that's the video platform. That's where you can get in front of them. It's a blue ocean right now. And so I highly recommend taking advantage of it, looking at the resource, everything we talked about, on this podcast. And I'm excited, for everybody listening and watching to start.
I love that. Where can our listeners learn more about you and your training that you offer so they can actually learn all this stuff?
Absolutely. So actually, I have a variety of different, free trainings I wanted to give, access just for listening or watching this podcast. If you go to AdOutreach, that's ADOUTREACH, AdOutreach.com/gift. You can actually take a look there. I thank you for listening. And then also you'll see my webinar on YouTube ads, on OmniPresent Retargeting, access to our Facebook group. We're also posting tons of content and value as well.
Okay. Yeah. So I want everybody that's listening now to go to Aleric's site that he just gave there. And we'll post that in here to make sure you guys have the site and really opt in for some of that training and start understanding that even if you're not a business owner, if you're like a salesperson, even sells life insurance, for example, or whatever, financial investors or realtors, it doesn't really matter. Anything that's sold, that you can learn how to do these ads on YouTube and really probably double, triple your income just because you're getting a higher quality lead and you're getting more leads that book with you, that are chasing you down rather than you chasing after them. Aleric, thanks for being on. I appreciate it. This is awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Now, if you're serious about joining the top 1%, I mean the top 1%, and you want to experience more training content just like this, click the links right over there. Right over there, they're exactly what you need to see next. You see, I release new episodes featuring top salespeople and sales authorities, multiple six-figure, high six-figure, even seven-figure earners. And if you're new here, do yourself a favor and smash that subscribe button right below, and join our new Facebook group, Sales Revolution. You see, it's free, and there's a link in the description below just for you. We put it there for you. Finally, I make posts on Facebook and Instagram each and every day with more tips and training. So be sure and follow me and turn on your notifications. So make a comment in the first 7 minutes to any of my latest posts, share this episode, and there's a very real chance that you're gonna win some killer prizes. And here's the thing, don't sit on the sidelines. Don't be like everyone else. Get into the game. Join the sales revolution. Stay active, get involved, learn the right skills, and we will show you how to take your life and income to a level that most only dream about.